So here we go, Fun with Jaguars part 3. So what we're looking to do now is take the rear bumper off, and the reason why I want to do that is I want to try and retrofit the rear parking camera. Now I've managed to pick up a bumper off eBay, so luckily as well what it also comes with is the blind spot monitoring, so I'm going to put those in as well. So really it's three things really. It's replace the rear wiring loom because it's different. Secondly, put in the blind spot sensors in each corner of the bumper. And thirdly, fit the parking camera. Now there are a few unknowns to this in terms of whether I've got to drill a hole for the camera. Well, actually that's known, it's just whether I can, whether the actual mounting bracket is already on the bumper behind, or whether I'll have to get one of those to fit it. But the first thing is to get the bumper off. Now, to start doing that, the first bit of this is to remove 3 torque bolts from inside the bumper. So when you look on the inside of the bumper here, and I'll try and do that, although it's not easy, is come back to that. So I've kind of gone around the other side because you might be able to see it better. So there is one of the torque bolts. There are 3 of them on each side and they're torque 30, so those need to be removed, and that's starting point number 1. So the next bit is inside the boot or the trunk, is to remove all of the carpet, and particularly this panel along the side here. So that has to come out. I think that's a torque 20 or something like that. So this panel here needs to be pulled out, and that's because the wiring loom is behind there for the bumper and you have to disconnect that. There are also behind this panel here a number of screws as well which hold the bumper on, so that has to come out. So that'll be my next job. But first, the bumper, or should I say the bumpers that I got off eBay. Let's have a look at those. So here we are, 2 F-Type bumpers, which I bought off eBay. You might be asking yourself why I've got 2 of them. Well, the first one I got was a 2017 bumper. If I can reach in here, I might be able to grab part of the loom, and that's not the part I want, must be down the other end. Yeah, so if I reach in here, importantly, these connections at the end, if you can see that blue one is actually for the camera, and that has 2, I think they're called Facrum connectors. The problem with that is there's only one on my car, so this is for a later 2017 model where I believe the cameras were a higher definition, so that in some ways is absolutely useless to me, which is why I got the second bumper. Now interestingly, the second bumper I've already taken the wiring loom off and it's down here, and you can see that this is the video camera connection, which is what I've got spare on my car, and that's only got one connector on, so that's the difference between the 2. But as I was mentioning, the loom that I got also came with the blind spot monitoring, so I'm going to put that on. Clearly it will need a change to the car CCF, and we'll also need the mirrors upgrading, but I might as well put it in. Other than that, it's relatively simple. Looks like a mass of wires, but it'll just plug in place of what's there at the moment. So that's the bumpers. As you can see in the boot now, I've pretty much stripped away most of the stuff that you can easily pull out without having to remove any trim clips. The one big bit is obviously this bit, which comes off the back here, and I'm only taking that out so I can remove the shelf over here, which I'll be on to shortly. But in the meantime, I have moved back to the wheel arch, taken the wheel off, because if you look at the back here, there are 2 bolts down there, one there, and there's one up there, as well as the 3 that go in the wheel lip there, and you need to get those out because this bit of liner needs to come out because there are some bolts in the back there, just above at the top, which you can't see very well on the camera, which need to come out before the bumper can come off. So I'll just pull off that lining and then come back. So I've kind of folded the liner back out the way so you've got access, and the bit that you're actually looking for, I don't know if you can see it, it's right up here. There we go. Those two bolts there, they're at the top, and they're also holding the bumper in, so they need to come out, and on the other side as well. So once those bolts are out, you can pretty much see that the back bit, or side bit should I say, pretty much comes free. So that is one side done. I have to do the other side now. Okay, making swift if not brutal progress here. So this is the wiring loom that comes out of a hole underneath here, which always dodgy. There you can see the hole from the top, so that you just push it through and pull that through. There is one connection, which is this, which goes into a module up here, which needs disconnecting and disconnecting off the side here. Not sure what that's for. That might be tyre pressure monitoring, don't know. But anyway, that's disconnected. I'm now hoping that it's just 3 bolts left, and slide the bumper off. So there you go, bumper off the back of the car. I did find one piece of wiring which was still connected, and this was on the driver's side, and this is a right-hand drive car, but there was this cable. I am not sure what it does, but it seems definitely connected on the underside, so it was easier to unplug it from where it was on the bumper, which was kind of looped around here, but that was the only thing that stopped it coming off. Interestingly enough, the whole point I'm taking this off is to put a reversing camera on it. So anybody that's wondering that doesn't have a reversing camera on, the bracket is actually on the back of the bumper, and you probably can't see it on the camera. I'll try and zoom in. There you go. You can see actually the circle, drill circle hole marked out in the middle. So we are all looking very, very good. So it'd be a matter of cleaning this back bumper, and then swapping the wiring loom and getting the camera put in. I've also got some blind spot modules that I'm going to plug in as well. Alright, that's it for now. So the bumper's off the car now, and I've brought it inside. So the job now is, as you can see, I've started doing already. So this is the blind spot monitoring module. So I put that on one side. As you can see on the other side, there's just a hole where the other one needs to go. And what I'm doing is working myself wiring loom wise back from that point, and I'll pull off the old wiring loom and replace it with the new one. Interestingly enough, if I grab hold of it, so my car does not have blind spot monitors and doesn't have the camera. So when you look at the wiring loom, you can see the old one there, that's just got the 2 green blocks on it, whereas this one now comes with effectively 4. So this one here, the red one, that one I believe is for the blind spot monitors. The wiring on these 2 green ones is exactly the same as the 2 green ones that I've got, and the all important camera one, and the connections for all of these are all in the car. The one actually, the red one goes on, has got a blanking plug on it. So basically strip all of this back, swap over the wiring looms, put in the blind spot monitors, and hand in mouth drill a hole in the middle of the bumper for the camera, and then it'll be back on the car. Alright. So here we go, bumper's going back on, camera as you can see just below the number plate. I'm starting from the top, so it will be, if you can see, 3 bolts that go in the back, one being here, there and there. That's all that's holding the bumper on at the moment. And I'll attach the ones on the side behind the wheel arch on both sides, reclip that cable back in, and then we'll see where we go from there. Yeah, it's just basically put it back together. So there you go, the new bumper is now, bumper wiring loom should I say, is now wired in. So these were 2 were the original ones. Now got what I believe is the blind spot monitoring one wired in here, and the camera, the all-important camera, is this one down here. Interestingly enough, out of the blind spot monitoring one, there was this blank in it with a few wires out the back. So I guess if I get any warning lights when I switch the car back on, I can always put this in instead. As I say, it just came with the bumper, and I thought I might as well take advantage of it. So we'll see where we go next. One of the other bits that's probably worth mentioning as well, if I can get right underneath the car, was when I took the bumper off there, and you can't see these very well, but there were a couple of mounting brackets that are kind of in here. You can see if I'd line it up there. Those had actually come off the bottom trim, so I've glued those back on. We shall see whether that stays or not. You can probably just see the yellow residue of the glue that I've used there. So I'm going to screw those back on, and all the torque 30s that are all around the wheel arches, and we should be pretty much home and dry.